Hello, everyone, and welcome again to another Teacher Joseph podcast. Well, a few of you have been asking me about breathing and how it affects the way that we speak. For those of you who take accent reduction classes with me, you'll know that breathing is really, really key and important for giving a good, confident presentation of your English. Even in basic conversations, breathing is very, very important. Now, native English speakers follow what looks like natural patterns of breathing when they're speaking. And these are influenced by the structure of the sentence, how well the sentence is known, or how confident we feel when we're saying it. Also, the need for clarity and emphasis, because, if you just stop dead in the middle of a sentence, people aren't going to really get the seriousness of the situation, the rhythm of speech. So we're going to look at some key points about breathing patterns of native English speakers. Okay, so I suppose the first one is phrasing. We tend to group words into phrases that make sense within the context of a sentence. Now, let me just say that again. We group words together into phrases, okay? So if I say, for example, I walked to the shops today with the dog, okay? If I take a big deep breath in the beginning, I walked to the shops today with the dog. You can hear that it makes a lot of sense, yeah? But if I say, I walked to the shops today with the dog, it doesn't really sound okay, does it? It sounds like something's missing. And if I say, I walked to the shops today with the dog, you would hear there that it's still not confident, but my breathing is still continuing because I'm still using whereas in the last one, I just stopped, didn't I? I walked to the shops. So obviously the best way of doing this is a deep breath in. I walked to the shops today with the dog. And by doing this, you can hear a clear breathing pattern. The sentence length is also very important because longer sentences may require more breathing. So the question is then, well, where do you breathe? Well, an appropriate subclause in the sentence would be good, or where you reach words like but, and, which, therefore. Even a comma is a great place to try to do that. Let me just make a long sentence. So I'll take a big deep breath in at the beginning and get as much of it out as I can. I walked to the shop with the dog yesterday and then I bought some food. Breath. I came home and I cooked that food and then I watched a movie with the family. It was rather boring, but I did it anyway. Okay, so I got as much as I could in one breath and I only paused once to take a breath. Okay, let's try another one. Yesterday I went to the city and met some friends who were visiting from another country. Breath. They're going to be here for 4 days. Now you can hear there that I took a natural breath when my intonation dropped. Visiting the country. Breath. Okay. There's also the type of breathing you want to use to cover emphasis. When native speakers want to emphasize a particular word or phrase, we sometimes take a deeper breath before that part of the sentence, and so that we can add weight to the emphasized part. For example, Tom and Sarah went for a walk in the woods and they were eaten by a big bear. So you can hear there that the fact that Tom and Sarah were eaten is really what I want to tell you. They were eaten by a big bear. My voice got louder. I used up more breath. And that's how we add emphasis. And as I mentioned earlier, we align our breathing with punctuation. So if you come across a full stop, a comma, a colon, a semicolon, that's a great place to breathe. Now, many people ask me, but in spoken English, you don't have commas or semicolons. That's right, but they're put in English to help you know where you should breathe in writing. That's why we have them, is to guide you a little bit when you're reading. Of course, the stress and intonation patterns can affect breathing because as you approach the end of the sentence, you want to lower your voice. It always surprises me how much English speakers aren't aware of these patterns. They come so natural to us that we don't even think about them. They're just the most natural things, Also, the public speaking, of course, if you're doing a course, controlled breathing techniques about deep breath in and out. In and out is very important. And you have to be careful as well, your speed of speaking, because in one breath, there's a danger you might try to speed things up. So just stay with the rhythm of your breathing in and out. I mean, these patterns vary greatly amongst British speakers. So, of course, not everyone breathes in the same way, especially across different countries. I have a friend from Latin America. My goodness, you can't shut him up. Once he starts talking, and I'm thinking, where are you breathing? God, you have so much to say, and where does all that energy come from? By the way, speaking of energy, today is freezing here in the UK. It's at 0 where I am. Very cold, very cold. And already they've started to advertise Christmas campaigns for shopping, although many of our local governments are saying they just don't have enough money to switch on Christmas lights this year. Our towns are usually heavily decorated with Christmas lights. They're saying now that this year many cities won't have Christmas lights because the government simply can't afford to keep them on. So I don't know what's going to happen with that. Also, a new coin is coming out. This is the 50p coin, celebrating Raymond Briggs. And if you don't know who that is, he's the guy who wrote the children's book called The Snowman, about a young boy who builds a snowman that comes to life. I'm sure you know it. Probably you read it to your children, maybe in a translated language. Well, they're bringing out a 50p coin to celebrate him. I mean, couldn't they think of something new? They're always looking backwards, aren't they? This is looking back to 1978, because that's when the book fast came out. So I don't know why they're celebrating that this year. Having said that, though, the snowman has sold more than 5.5 million copies around the world. So do have a look for the snowman, 50p coin, if you're able to see it. It might be because Raymond Briggs, the guy who wrote that, he died in August at the age of 88. And then The Snowman was turned into a BAFTA TV award-winning animated TV film. I mean, the film was around since 1982, but they've been showing it again since Raymond died in August. It's one of those things that they show every year on British TV. I mean, I don't watch it, but many people do. So that's something to look out for. That's in our headline news today. Oh, I don't like Christmas. Do you know, the older I get, the more I really don't like it. I don't know why. I know some people love it, but it's just so hyped up. We're supposed to buy lots of gifts we can't afford. We're supposed to do all kinds of things at Christmas time, and it's just not my way of living, and I don't like being pushed psychologically into big meals and dinners. Because in Britain, most of us now, we don't have families. Most of us are alone at Christmas time, but yet this constant message of you shouldn't be alone at Christmas time. What's wrong with being alone? Nothing wrong with that. Many people are. There'll just be me and the family and my little cat, and we'll be having a special meal. And if we can find someone who is alone at Christmas, we'll invite them if they want to come. But nothing wrong with being alone at Christmas. And what else? Yes, that's Christmas. It's coming up. Yeah, another thing in our news today is that somebody um, jumped over the side of a cruise ship, which was off the coast of Kent. Nobody knows why, but they jumped. You know, the suicide rate in the UK is very high. For those of you who think that the UK is all singing, all dancing, happy place when you get here, there's many people who just don't want to participate in that, and for whatever reason, they find ways to either leave or, in this case, jump off the side of cruise ships. Mental health is huge here. It's a big issue. I think you have to be a little bit depressed to live in the UK anyway. I mean, our media is very cynical about everything and everybody. The thing I don't like about our media particularly is the fact that they're very personal in their attacks. For example, the American media, they might report on a bad thing happening and they might comment upon it, but they don't target individuals and try to bring them down, as we say in British English. I mean, I admit that there are some bad people who do some bad things, but at least the American media seem to be a little bit fairer with regards to privacy and people's lives. But here in the UK, we seem to focus in on very particular people and then just keep banging the drum until that person loses power, is no longer in the media, disappears, loses fame. It's quite bizarre. Anyway, that's the news today from the UK. So I hope you've enjoyed this little podcast and I hope it helps you with your breathing. So there we are, and I hope to talk with you again tomorrow. See you all soon. Bye.